Yeah, it is.
But it should be like U or S.
I don't see it. Oh, no. S here. S is for school? No. U
Yes,
or
that one.
U or S. Yes. U is for
Yes,
undocumented.
yes, yes. And then if you look at the quilting on that, the long arm person spent way longer on G doing all the echoing than she did for S. She was very simple on S. She made it, again, look like jail
Wow.
bars.
That's really interesting. That's really interesting. And you know what I think about is it's so intergenerational that you get the kids, you get the sewing people who are probably of a different generation. You get
Yep.
this kind of, it's really cool now because I'm a law professor and I never go half an hour because it's just too much interesting things. Intellectual property on this. Who do the kids have to sign something like their rights over to what, like who owns these works and how do you deal with copyright ownership of the collaborative material?
So they never copyright, like they never, like, for example, take an image off the internet and copy it. They kind of just, like, they might be inspired by a meme or something,
Yeah.
but everything's usually so imperfect that
Yeah.
it's never, like, we'd actually be in trouble for copyright infringement. If it's under minors, we sometimes make them sign photos for, like, photo release, like, do you mind being on the website? But usually all the kids want to be on the website, so it's really not that big of a deal. But in terms of intellectual property, it becomes SJSAs, but not for, like I promise not to sell the work. I promise not to, like, profit off of it. It's like they're making the work with knowing it's going to be in a traveling worldwide exhibition.
So, like, you say, I mean, I would love to look at you. So you basically you get a non-exclusive license to use the material. Have any of the kids ever wanted it back, or do they know that they're kind of relinquishing the ownership of what they've created by giving it to you?
They're about the community ownership. Like, they're about, like, my quilt's going to be in Atlanta, and they're definitely, and I've even asked them, like, you know, afterwards, they're like, no, because they honestly, if I gave these high school kids these quilts, or even the quilt blocks, they would go in the closet somewhere. Most of them don't have a house yet. Most of them, like, they're for it traveling rather than, you know, but for example, if they make a block, it's not going to be a quilt. They know that it takes all of them to make a quilt. And so it's like they're all, you know, happy to contribute their piece.
Got it. Do you feel like, first of all, I imagine do you find like any kid can do this, or do you find that it's a more, like, who are your kids? Are they art kids? Are they general kids? Like, who's coming to do this?
They're general, like, it'll be a history teacher who just did a section on social, like we've had a history teacher whose wife is an embroidery volunteer, and he's just a typical history teacher, and he'd be like, hey, we just did our history unit on civil rights. Can you come do a workshop? So it's really not ideally our kids make great blocks, but it's really not to be exclusive. And so we've done it, like, we've had it everything from private school to homeless shelters to incarcerated kids to all Black to all Mexican to really diverse boarding schools. And then it's not just high school kids. We've done middle school workshops. We had a middle school workshop last Monday and Thursday in a San Francisco workshop. And because it was in a PE class, we tailored the section to be on food justice, food insecurity, and gentrification. So it's like, if a teacher is like, hey, we're really learning about this, I've seen it on the Instagram, can you do it? But in doing it, can we tailor the curriculum or the assignment? Because, you know, we don't come in there with fabric and scissors and be like, hi, everyone, let's create. We do an activity of some sort, or we have a discussion of some sort first.
Yeah, it's remarkable. It's really, really awesome. And I keep forgetting all the questions.
Do you see the Women of Social Justice one?
No, let me see. Let me go back.
It looks like gray with a bunch of, maybe it's at the bottom.
This one, yeah. I saw that. Yes. Okay, that's so cool.
So this one was an art class. It was like an Art 1 class. And so the kids are like, I was explaining the process, and basically they were like, well, we want all our blocks to stick together. I'm like, well, if you want all your blocks to stick together, we need to do something that's coherent. So after talking with the teacher, you know, we had a brainstorming. We decided to do social justice people. But because everyone traditionally went to, like, you know, like the biggest people, I'm like, let's switch the narrative. So we're going to do women only. And so what we did is me and the teacher Googled random social justice people, and we put their names on index cards. We folded up like 25 index cards. We put them in a bag, and all the kids pulled an index card of someone they may or may not know. Then the kids had an hour to research the person. The kids had an hour to find the photo they liked. And the kids' assignment, because it was an art class, so the teacher wanted to give them art credit, they had to make the person out of fabric, write their last name, first name, or full name, and do a symbol of something that they stood for.
That's really cool. I love it. So I feel like the substance of this work is to, like, you've been doing this, you've been building towards this your whole life. It seems like you've got the skill, you've got the clout, you know the sewing world, you know the quilting world, and then your academic work at these insanely amazing institutions allows you to do a depth of understanding in both of them that you just couldn't do this project without it. It's just, right? Is that the way you feel?
Yeah, I feel like it was definitely a mixture of my education with the blessings of my parents done. I mean, my parents have put me in top of the line elite sewing classes since, I was 8. I've been in adult classes from like 8 to like 10, being tooled up every weekend with, like the 60 and 70-year-old professional quilters. So I feel like sewing and quilting is such a community where people can really take you under their wing, but you have to come in with a certain level of skill. So by having SGSA, we're like getting rid of the necessary skill. Like we can have a group of all Black males from Oakland, and we can have a bunch of quilters from Danville and out in like just millionaire communities come and spend their entire Saturday. Like we're bridging a gap that isn't necessarily there by blood or by, like I feel like most quilters, and I'm speaking generally, might be teaching their grandchildren how to sew. I mean, my grandma taught me, but my grandma never taught strangers. And so SGSA is kind of bringing...
And your grandmothers don't usually, I mean, some grandmothers do. So I know there's some grandmothers out there that are going to be like, hey, I did. But they're not teaching art quilts. They're not teaching social justice. They're not teaching expression.
Exactly.
And
my grandma didn't
incredible.
Either. My grandma didn't teach me sewing for expression. She taught me sewing of this is how you do quarter-inch seam. This is how you cut out a pattern for clothes. You do and they're teaching sewing for the technical skill, which again matters. But I think using sewing as expression is a little more free. It's a little more, I guess, it's like storytelling. I don't know, there's a really important quote. Like, if you don't tell your story, someone else will. And I feel like, especially for communities of color, our narrative is constantly being told by people who aren't us. Totally. And by SGSA is kind of allowing kids to tell their own narrative in their own way with help from others, but not being dictated or led by others. Because at the end of the day, the art block that they send has already been made and approved by them. It's not a collaboration on the initial art. It's a collaboration on the back end.
Yeah. No, I hear it. I really, these are great. These are great. And what you've done with the embroidery.
Do you see the art behind bars?
No,
the embroidery. It's like I can't thank the embroidery volunteers enough. SGSA wouldn't be SGSA without the amount of adults who care about the message. And they might not be able to, go to D.C. for all the, protests or whatever, but they could definitely stay at home and embroider and embellish these art messages.
It's so about that. I don't embroidery, so I don't know how I'll help you. I'm totally on board. I'm part of your team. I totally will. And we have a quilting army. Oh, you don't know much about it. So I have this thing called the Quilting Army, which is all these people, mostly women, some men, who are willing to do ridiculous things because I can't do it all. So I believe in the power of volunteers as well. I think SSA is really it's the byproduct of volunteers.
Yeah, everything is volunteer.
And
that makes it so much of a powerful community.
Yeah. So what do you think the kids get out of it?
I think they get to, add to their resume or just kind of know to their repertoire that their art is being seen and photographed in areas they might not ever be able to afford. I know we've done workshops in Chicago, and the quilts have been seen at Harvard and Chicago, and those are spaces where, unfortunately, those kids might not ever be invited but them even seeing it. And I think ideally, if I could get grant funding, I'd love to bring the kids. Yeah. Like for the Women of Social Justice, when that quilt goes places, let's bring all the kids out. Grant writing is like coding. It's not a language that I'm very fluent in. Yeah. So I'm working on it.
That's great. Do you think you'll bring any
job, I'm a teacher in a jail.
Yeah. Do you think you'll I'm sorry, say it again. In the daytime what?
My full-time job, I'm a full-time employee. I'm in a charter school that works in jails. Wow. So I work with inmates every day, all day, to get their high school diploma. So I think the core of my values are I really believe education is liberatory, and working with adults that, have made mistakes and kind of, they've been kicked out, hearing their stories. The intersection of how many of them were in foster care, how many of them were kicked out of traditional class, put in resource classes, didn't have a teacher that really believed in them, is eye-opening of wow, there's one common factor. So I feel like education is it's the biggest, occupation that has, I think, one of the biggest influences. Yeah. If we want change, we have to tool up the generation to be able to make that change, not just want that change. So I inherently believe in the power of education, especially when you use it critically.
That's amazing. I love it. Well, you're doing amazing work. It's just amazing. It's just amazing. I love it. I'm totally a fan. I'm
Thank
like,
you.
put me in your super fan club. And again, I hope, let's figure out how, so we will have a booth as well, and we'll have people and hopefully some law students, I don't know, but let's keep thinking about how we can help you in your adventure, because your stuff is really awesome. I really think you're just amazing.
Thank you.
I can't wait to see what you do. You're only you're not even, you're a year out of grad school?
Yep. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
What do you think, where you're going to be in 5 years? What are you going to be doing? Do you have any sense of do you have a big master plan, or is that a super secret? You don't want to tell people?
No, I think my master plan ultimately is to create a transitional aged housing program that would be like a college dormitory, but it would be like an alternative school. So if you've been expelled or been kicked out or even get pregnant, you could come to this alternative high school that would be so holistic. It would have, restorative justice mornings. It would have, I just would really believe in the power of education to be a holistic, if you're homeless, you can come stay at this high school. It would be like a dormitory built in, mental health awareness, just a really, restorative school. And of course would use the power of art through every subject, and just be hands-on. It would be about engaged scholarship, about critical literacy, and it would definitely be high school, but the classes would be how to do taxes, how to make a savings account. It would just be, just kind of, more things that I wish I would have received in high school. But that would really help the community and the youth that I'd be targeting to just set them up for a successful life.
That's pretty awesome. Well, I have no doubt you will. I'm no doubt that you will do it. You are extraordinary.
Thank you.
And I'm just thrilled to have spent an hour with you. I think you are just inspiring in the most amazing way. So, count me in. Put me on your list.
Well,
I'm totally here for you. So
I'll add you to the listserv. No, I think our current thing is we just got awarded a $10,000 grant that we can only receive if we get the donations that we can show matched it. So I didn't really know what a match grant was, but you apply for a match grant, and basically you have 50 days to get donations, and then we have to send the list of this person's name, this person's donation, and then they'll match it. So we currently are I think $1,300 in. We have 40, 35 more days to earn up to $10,000 so they can donate it. So if you had an army of quilting volunteers, you could even just send our GoFundMe out and kind of explain what we're doing.
Why don't you?
All the embroidery volunteers would just send $5. The list, they just want names of people who donated, and they'll match it. So, but it's about us being able to say, hey, these 100 people each donated. That's it.
That's so cool. Okay, so haven't done this, so we're all about the experiment. I'm a social entrepreneurship professor as well, so I'm all about the interesting weirdness. So why don't we do this? I'm going to try to post this as soon as possible, probably Monday, so that it's out there.
Okay.
Send me any description you want to go with it, any links, and I'll see if I can put a challenge up to. Now, we're pretty new. We've only been up 15 weeks, and so our numbers are looking good on the podcast, but we'll sort of see how far it can go. And then also, we should try to get them to post it on other Facebook groups, right? I don't know if they will, but these big, huge groups of quilters and other people to sort of...
and I think into it would also be the call if you have fabrics, if you can't donate money, which not everyone can do, we understand that. Could you support with fabric or rotaries, or do you have an extra sewing machine? I think making the call holistic, because sometimes people are turned off, everyone wants money. At this point, it's not about just money. $5 would help, but if you have an extra spare sewing machine, feel free to ship that. So I think in terms of writing language, or even if you don't have time, money, or sewing machine, then sign up to embroider, because we have a surplus of blocks that need home.
That's so great. So you are talking to, listeners out there. So listeners, if you hear this, if this sounds cool, get involved. This is an awesome, amazing project, and supporting Sara is just really cool. This is awesome to sort of see your enthusiasm and smartness, and it's just really cool. So I hope those out there listening go and we'll provide links and go to our go to JustWannaQuilt and look for there's a list of guests. Just look for Sara and tell them again it's Social Justice Sewing Academy. And you can just, and your email, your